Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?
When the topic of the immersive sim is brought up today, it's difficult to go 10 minutes without someone mentioning System Shock, the precursor to the massively popular, though today cult classic, BioShock. And nowadays, with Nightdive's ground-up remake of System Shock 1 hopefully just around the corner, that sentiment feels even more true today. But whenever this point is made, it's almost customarily brushed off as being one of the cornerstones of the genre that it helped inspire, and rarely deeper than that. Even I'm guilty of this, but as my catalog grew and I got more and more of the industry's greatest under my belt, I felt an obligation to see what the deal was. And what I found was an immensely complicated and archaic game that very slowly started to grow on me. But it grew on me less as an immersive sim and more as a Metroidvania. Yeah, 2 years before Power Slave in 1994. You know, the same year that id Software armed the returning king of PC shooters with 2 barrels of demon-killing action. Yeah, id Software and more recently Doom had set expectations for PC first-person shooters much higher than you would imagine. Relatively simpler to play, fast-paced arena shooters were becoming far more mainstream, and immersive sims, or at least games that would fall under the category today like Blue Sky's Ultima Underworld, were becoming more niche than they already were. Though that's not to say that System Shock 1 wasn't an immersive sim, at least depending on who you ask. No RPG stats, no leveling, choices made in the story didn't impact the rest of the game, and no NPC dialogue trees. It is simply just a world that reacts to the elements and scripts in itself, which really is the bare minimum. But what it accomplishes with that bare minimum is no small feat thanks to the dedication of Doug Church. No, not the renowned Elvis impersonator. Wait, I think. I'm kinda disappointed it's not the same guy. And the ambition of Warren Spector, 6 years before he'd shatter known reality with a little game called Deus Ex. See, after Blue Sky Productions merged with Lerner Research to make Looking Glass Studios, and later bringing in programmer Doug Church, the company was given a publishing deal by Origin Systems, which Warren was a part of back then. Spector already had a deep passion for creating tabletop games and choose-your-own-adventure stories, which he'd later go on to take full advantage of in his games later on in his career. He and his soon-to-be co-workers over at Looking Glass were adamant, borderline stubborn about the concept of player empowerment, giving players a previously unseen level of immersive freedom in the worlds that they created. And with this upcoming project in an era of linear games stringing the player along for the ride, they wanted to set the stage for an immersive experience that let the player advance as they wish, taking feedback from gaming publications and fellow programmers on their previous Ultima games to really refine this adventure. Less focus on individual dungeons, no living NPCs to force the player into options they couldn't empathize with, a deeper focus on telling the story through non-linearly obtained collectibles, and putting the player in a sci-fi setting to open up their creative freedoms, initially considered to take place in a near-future modern city, until Doug Church thought that an immersive game set in something that thousands of people experience every day would end up being less immersive for some people. Yeah, I really wonder what a game like that would have looked like.
Thanks.
Church envisioned a game where, quote,
"You hear the sound of a security camera swiveling, the beep of it acquiring you as a target so you duck behind a crate. You hear the door open so you throw a grenade and run out of the way. This would create emergent possibilities for every situation."
And for something like this, you would need a hell of an engine for the early 90s. The game that eventually became System Shock 1 was originally going to run on the Ultima engine until they unanimously agreed that it wasn't up for the task at hand, using a new engine made from scratch capable of texture maps, slopes, and objects that emit light. This was a true 3D engine, believe it or not. If you want a quick, though not entirely foolproof way of telling if an engine like this is truly 3D or not, look at how walls and objects that point straight upwards skew, or lack thereof, when you aim the camera up or down. If the engine is truly 3D, or you're looking at something in real life, it'll appear to bend relative to yourself, right? That's just how perspective works in real life. In engines that fake 3D, which is still no small feat, vertical objects don't bend or skew like they would from real life. This is completely useless information, but what I'm trying to say is that you could look in any direction in a true 3D engine in System Shock, though not with mouse look, or at least not traditional mouse look like we know it today. It's like you take your mouse cursor and drag the screen to look around. It's quite dated. Mouse look is available as a mod for the game, but I'm going to be playing the rest of this in the Enhanced Edition Nightdive Remaster, which comes with full integrated mouse look out of the box. Objects were given simple physics values that influenced how they moved and bounced around the world when thrown, thanks to a bit of code borrowed from Flight Unlimited. Yes, yes, a flight simulator, which was used to make this settled upon derelict space station setting with a human deficiency feel more, ironically, alive. And with a setting like this, you would need a hell of an antagonist to drive the player along. And what they came up with, while not completely original, is fucking terrifying.
I am Shodan.
I fucking love Shodan. She's motherfucking Max Headroom with a god complex with little regard for human life. You'd think that the vocalist from Tribe wouldn't make for an intimidating force, but I still haven't slept for the last week. This is the voice of Terry Brosius, and if you're wondering how a vocalist of an indie rock band ends up in a game like this, it's because their bassist, Greg Lopiccolo, was brought on to compose for System Shock, bringing in Terry and her husband to contribute to the game. Terry would later go on to work on Thief and Dishonored 1 and 2. That soundtrack, by the way, fucking incredible. I'll be getting back to that in a bit. The player character was made into the perfect heel for Shodan, a 21st century hacker able to access terminals on the wall with cybernetic augmentations to fly around a wireframe cyberspace world to unlock doors and access keycards and info. Abilities were added, the story began to take shape, and a game way ahead of its time was almost ready to ship. And when I say ahead of its time, I mean that in more ways than one. System Shock's bread and butter was its fully voiced audio logs, only possible at this capacity on CD-ROM, but Origin insisted that the game should not only work but release en masse on floppy disk before the CD release of the game. A choice made from corporate greed for immediate sales that ended up costing them in the long run. Though today, thankfully, we don't really need to worry about that. The voice acting was still done mostly in part by staff from around the office, if it wasn't obvious from their line delivery.
Sabo here. Listen, Mac, I've got a plague loose on the exec level.
While the game would earn its cult following over the next couple decades, mainstream outlets reported the game as confusing and slow, citing the popularity of Doom the year prior. And with Doom 2 set to release a mere month after System Shock, budget PC gamers were likely holding on to their cash. The average PC gamer had a taste for more streamlined experiences, being uninterested and unwilling to learn and adapt this archaic playstyle that System Shock was asking of them, not even earning that cult-like appraisal until weeks after release, where monthly consumer magazine Computer Shopper wrote, "The controls grow on you and will keep you intrigued for weeks, and will be worth the time and effort to learn," which is a great way for me to segue into my own personal experiences when I first tried to give this game a chance. If you've ever tried to jump into the game without knowing a damn thing about it, you wouldn't blame folks for saying that this is confusing. Like, Jesus Christ, this is the first thing you're met with when you start the game. System Shock is confusing as hell, even with the Nightdive remaster. Widescreen support, adjustable FOV, and inherent mouse look can only help you so much. I felt like I was hit with a mental flashbang the minute I reached the title screen. Clashing colors, questionable graphic design, and some of the most intense MIDI vomit I've ever heard from a commercial product. It's not all gonna sound like this. From here on, I'm gonna be using the MIDI font Chromium Rev A. It complements the OST the best in my experience. This was a bit tricky to set up on Windows 10. I'll provide the Steam guide that helped me out in the description, but you need to know what you're doing with this. The main menu does look better in the original DOS release though, I'll just be honest. And I think that's solely because of the animated biometers and the deeper hues of blue. It's the small things, you know? The title screen MIDI is still a clusterfuck even with Chromium Rev A. They really wanted this shit to sound as alien as possible, but it's not like the player can just hit start and begin their adventure. They gotta select the difficulty first. Oh, what the fuck is this? Alright, this is actually pretty cool. This run is gonna be on 3233, level 3 difficulty for all but mission. The only difference between setting this to 2 and 3 is that the game gives you a 7-hour countdown for how long you have to beat the game, which wouldn't work for a playthrough where I need to pause every 5 seconds to take notes. If you want to see my own playthrough of playing it on 4.3s, I'll provide a link to the VOD of a playthrough I did over on Twitch.
Oh, Shark Tale, buddy.
Okay.
Talking about the masterpiece over here. You know, I mentioned that when I was at work one day, and they made fun of me.
Combat difficulty ranges from enemies being completely passive until you attack them, to enemies possessing an extra third of health and actively hunting you down in the map. Mission difficulty begins at all doors being unlocked from the get-go with no audio or email logs, to keycard requirements, audio and email logs, and security shutdowns with difficulty 2, with, again, the aforementioned time limit with setting 3. And Cyberspace, the hacking minigame, ranges from no time limit with no penalties to dying in cyberspace, to enforcing a 2.5-minute cyberspace time limit with a 12-second stamina penalty for dying in cyberspace. No, you don't die in real life if you die in the game, but you do take some damage, so be careful about that. If you plan on trying this for yourself, set all difficulties to 1, or 0 if you really need that crutch. I really don't blame you. The game is quite easy and pretty quick without locked doors, but it's a good way to teach you about the game so you can come back later on harder difficulties. That's what I did anyway. Do what I did and play the demo for the remake before you play the base game so you get a decent idea of what you should do, or, you know, just wait for the remake to come out, I guess, but that's not what this show is about! Feel free to pause or go frame by frame with the period and comma keys, assuming you're watching this on YouTube, to view my keybinds if you'd like. I'll also have a link in the description for the Steam guide, which provides a lot of the keybinds I'm using in this video, courtesy of Steam user Blackjack Psych. That said, I don't use all of these keybinds. For actions like reloading, arming grenades, and applying patches, I opt to use the mouse cursor to double-click the item in my HUD, not just for immersion's sake, which it certainly adds to, but to reduce the chance of me selecting the wrong grenade or patch type. Though, just to be transparent, I actually forgot about a lot of these dedicated keybinds when I was learning to play this game a couple years back, and developed my own system of mixing keybinds and point-and-click actions. The fact that this level of accessibility is a thing is really a testament to the remaster. The intro exposition dump plays automatically when booting up the OG release, which is now relegated to a play intro button when selecting your difficulties. I have no problem with this system, but wouldn't be too surprised if half of the players experiencing Shock 1 for the first time through this port might have just skipped it.
New Atlanta, Sector 11, Building 71G.
In the distant year of 2072, things are just a little bit worse than they are today. The mega corporation Tri-Optimum directly and openly controls the United States of America, if not the entire world. And even a young adult with a bit of hacking expertise attempting to access confidential files is enough of a threat to be met with multiple armed officers. The hacker, our protagonist, is detained and sent to Tri-Optimum's Citadel Station in orbit above Saturn? Holy shit! I guess we achieve faster than light travel in the next 5 decades. That was just a really long cop car ride. Anyways, the hacker is given an ultimatum: face prosecution and rot behind bars for the rest of his life, or offer his hacking skills to aid Tri-Optimum Vice President Edward Diego in removing the ethical constraints from the station's AI, Shodan. Doing so, he'd be rewarded with military-grade neural implants and augmentations, which the hacker does, no questions asked. The procedure for these implants is a long one, though, at least the recovery is. Diego places the hacker in stasis for 6 months to recover, erases any and all evidence of the tampering of Shodan, including the hacker's presence on Citadel Station, all while Shodan's influence and curiosity festers. And the end of that 6-month hibernation is where our journey begins. Feels kind of fucked up to put a recovering patient at the top of an incline, but I guess it's in character for Tri-Optimum to just not care about that. We, the hacker, wake up alone in Citadel's medical ward. Our primary method of interacting with the world is by double-clicking rather than the quick and easy press of a button, so everything like picking up medical patches, opening doors, pressing buttons are all achieved by double-clicking. It's awkward, but you get used to it. Before we're allowed to move on, we need to open up the storage closet and get our tutorial keycard, as well as other goodies that'll lend us a hand. A mapping unit, stamina patch, system analyzer to check the progress of our adventure, berserk combat booster, a lead pipe, and a suitcase with a multimedia reader and an audio log from our first human contact, Rebecca Lansing. Alright, I may have lied when I said that every human in this game is dead. She is alive and stays alive for our adventure, but we never interact with her directly, only through pre-recorded audio logs.
Employee 2-4601, listen carefully.
She's a counter-terrorism consultant investigating the Shodan AI, who has expectedly gone rogue since we removed its ethical constraints. Shodan has been experimenting with and working on a virus, infecting everybody across the station who hasn't been violently murdered by the rogue security bots and cyborgs, and has aimed the station's mining laser directly at Earth. How Shodan managed that while accommodating for the orbital motion of the Earth relative to Saturn, I have no idea, but I guess that's almost as believable as FTL engines. Rebecca sends the hacker to find a Nathan Darcy, who may know a way to stop the laser, and hey, just to add a little cherry on top.
And by the way, we know all about you and your friend Diego.
Alright, first off, we're not friends. I only plugged into his mainframe once. But second, thank you for the pardon offer. There's also a note from the hacker before his procedure that tells of Diego's goal to merge with the Shodan AI, whatever that means, but also a key code to help us leave the healing suite, 451, ignoring how awkward it is to play a game with an odd number of characters for a passcode, something the sequel did as well. This is the game to birth that infamous 0451 passcode. Many are quick to assume it's a reference to Fahrenheit 451, a story warning about how complacency and censoring stories in history inevitably leads to fascism and oppressive societies, which would be a really fitting reference for the universe of System Shock. Government corruption and corporations kind of go hand in hand. But no, it's just a coincidence. 0451 was the passcode to the Looking Glass offices in Cambridge. Likely something set up by the landlords of the office that were completely unaffiliated with the team. At least I think. Anyways, maybe it's about time we move on from this opening room. Shodan has taken control of the bots working the station, the first to greet us being her serve bots.
Stay on schedule.
Oh my god. Living trash cans with 20 health and a melee attack with a 5% and 12% chance respectively of dropping a medical patch to restore health or a battery to restore some bioenergy. Serve bots are kinda cute, I'll give them that. It's a little creepier when we turn the corner and see Diego's smug mug looking at us from the wall. I can only guess that Shodan successfully spared the little bastard. If you take any hits, save your medical stims, there's a surgery machine right outside of this first room to completely restore your health, completely for free too, and infinitely reusable. You might think that a mechanic for a game like this is a little busted. It is, but there's only 3 across the entire station for you to use, and can be lost forever if they are destroyed, so try not to let them get caught in the crossfire. This and any other significant points of interest aren't marked on your map by default. In fact, the only entities that show up on your map so far are walls, doors, and Shodan security systems in the form of cameras and later CPU clusters. Your map fills up as you explore, kinda like a 2D Metroid game, so you don't need to worry about keeping track of your own movement relative to the map like you would in a game like Thief. But if you need to mark areas of interest, you gotta do it on your own by clicking on the map in full screen. Doing so creates a pin, which you can also name and delete in the future if it's something temporary. And clicking the messages button on the right will toggle whether or not it displays a dot or a message. To get the most out of this game, you're gonna need to use this feature a lot. Every floor of Citadel Station has its own security system, keeping rooms and buttons locked off until the hacker can lower the security level of the respective floor. A large chunk of this is taken up by CPU nodes that are tucked away somewhere in the map, but a bulk is taken by these security cameras. How breaking cameras lets us open doors, I have no idea, but it gives us an easy to understand, sometimes optional objective for most of the game. Destroy any camera you see, and if an area is blocked off by security, that means you've got more cameras to destroy. You can take these out with a couple of swings of your lead pipe. This isn't outer heaven, they're not gonna start shooting at you anytime soon.
Welcome back to Citadel Station. You are currently in the healing suites located on the first level. Level 2 contains the research laboratories. 3 houses the Department of Maintenance, and the storage cells are on level 4. The flight deck is on level 5. Level 6 holds crew facilities and executive suites, and level 7 is systems engineering. Level 8 houses the Department of Security. The bridge is located on level 9, and energy systems on level R.
I assure you, I would forget a lot of this if I wasn't taking notes, even though I have a good chunk of this game memorized by now. Shodan mentions that these 8+ floors are accessible from a primary elevator. I assure you, it's not gonna be that easy to get to these upper floors, but if we want to start our venture, we're gonna need another weapon. Alright, a dart pistol is better than nothing. 15 damage when equipped with regular darts, and can be fitted with tranquilizers, which are fucking useless and only affects a select few enemies. They're very situational, which is why I'm bringing them up here. And now, I think is a good time to give you a rundown of the HUD. There is a lot going on here, and being greeted by this barrage of messages when the game starts up in the OG release certainly doesn't fucking help. It's gonna take a while to get the hang of it. To point out the obvious, we've got a health and bioenergy bar at the top right, and our biometer at the top left representing the hacker's stamina. Yeah, it's not a stamina meter, and eyeballing it isn't going to be very effective. The faster your pulse, the higher your fatigue. You only need to pay attention to that red line, I believe. It's not very efficient at telling you your stamina, but I think that it adds to the charm. These 5 buttons on each side of the view window represent your augmentations, and will fill up as you collect them throughout the game. Except for this one, second from the top left, which toggles full screen. I don't like how this looks. I don't like the floating text and how it contrasts with the world. I'm not a fan, I'm not going to use it. Now, the bottom of the screen is where it gets complicated. On the left and right sides of the lower screen are 5 buttons. Weapon lets you see current clip capacity, select different ammo types, and adjust timers on compatible grenades. Item lets you view how many magazines you have per weapon, explain the purpose of other items like grenades and patches, and aid in cycling through data and audio logs. It could probably make you breakfast if you give it enough time. Map is self-explanatory, it's an auto map. Target doesn't do anything until we find the target identifier hardware on another floor, so we'll be coming back to that one later. And data also does nothing for now, but will later provide us with the hacker's condition, like health and a numerical value. The data window also lets us play minigames that the devs hide in Cyberspace for us. I've always known about these, but I never knew how to play them until doing this playthrough. It's just a fun touch. Each of these 2 displays on the bottom corners next to these 5 buttons are our MFDs, or multifunctional displays, both showing us one of these menus at a time. Typically, I keep auto map on the right and weapon on the left, giving me easy viewings of my current ammunition and location. The middle window on the bottom has 4 tabs: main, hardware, general, and software. You don't need to worry about the software tab, that's really only for Cyberspace. Main contains grenades, patches, and weapon info inventory, which is a separate inventory from our general inventory, so you don't need to worry about sacrificing a gun for a med pack. Hardware is our list of augmentations that we can activate here for easy viewing. Again, I don't really use this menu. And general is our general inventory, where we hold on to first aid kits and batteries for the most part, but later where we store plot relevant items, demanding a slot in our inventory, forcing us to make a choice for what gear we want to hold on to. If you're wondering about the funny wiggly orange man at the top of the screen, don't worry about him if you're playing the enhanced edition. You can lean around corners by clicking and dragging him around, which is a cool system, almost giving you full analog control over leaning, but I just have leaning bound to Q and E. These two levers to the left of him is how our poor old DOS friends looked up and down, either with free control from the knob on the right or preset angles with the one on the left. You know, sometimes I think about that time Civvy said playing System Shock feels more like tinkering with an operating system than playing a game. Honestly, I really don't blame him. I've been talking about this HUD for what feels like a decade now, and I wouldn't be surprised if I forgot something. This thing is just really complex. It's easy for me to say it was ahead of its time, and I guess it technically is. It's only that other games like System Shock 2 and Deus Ex would take this idea and just do a much better job with it. Alright, now that it's been about 13 minutes, I think we're about ready to start the game. Upstairs we find a crate with a frag grenade in it. You can loot it just like the suitcase, either by double clicking on it a second time to grab the first item from the container, or by grabbing it from the MFD directly, because you're bound to find some useless items in here. That's not a simplification, by the way. The wiki actually calls these useless items beakers, soda cans, helmets, various items that serve as world building but adding nothing to the gameplay. That said, they're not completely useless. You could toss them onto mines to destroy them when we encounter them later in the game. That's the benefit to a world created with systems and rules. And behind this crate is an energy recharge station, restoring your biometer. You can use these infinitely as well, they just need time to recharge, it's in the name. These things are all over Citadel Station, but it's still good to mark these where you can. You are limited to the amount of pins you could tag on the map per floor, though not universally. Erasing a pin on floor 2 won't give you an extra pin to use on floor 1. This was only a problem for me once in the entire run though. Oh, there's a spider on my webcam. I'm gonna flick it. I flicked it.
Showdown security's closing down on us. The elevators are frozen. Myra keeps saying that it's the cameras and the medical CPU core that Showdown's using these to hold onto the level. That's all fine, but I don't really see how it helps.
Oh my god, the music kicking in midway through that audio log, that's fucking awesome. The music isn't specific to the audio log, it's supposed to kick in once you're near the door. It's just a fun coincidence. Alright, let's kick this game off and meet some of Showdown's first mutants. Humanoid mutants, 50 HP fodder enemies that roam the halls of the medical floor. They're not too threatening as it stands. 4 swings from your pipe is usually enough to get it done on normal. On tier 3 combat difficulty it takes a bit more. And they have a 15% chance of dropping medical patches. With how many of these we're gonna see on this floor, it's good to stock up. Most players here are gonna be funneled into a linear direction. While there are many doors for us to check, most of them are locked with keycards and wire puzzles. The group 1 keycard also happens to be directly in this other room to the side. Not very well hidden, but this is the first 10 minutes of the game. Oh, I think there's something hidden up there. Oh, that's a human head. Neat. As you'd expect, there's a lot of exposition in this first hour or so, slowly drip feeding us the mystery of Citadel Station. Logs from Amira Stackhouse tell us how she tried to make a run for the security with her fate left unknown. A log from Sheldon? Oh wait, oh my god, that's Doug Church. Abe Guerin is also held up with an Althea Grossman, whose audio log points us in the direction of Nathan Darcy's group held up in the beta quadrant of the first floor, only protected from Showdown's forces by a single force bridge over a trench of radiation. They tried to recruit as many refugees from Showdown as they could to survive. They got eaten by mutants, and a select few were converted into cyborgs. Yeah, shit's fucked. In that same room where we find this log, there's a storage room locked within cyberspace. We'll get to that in just a minute. We've got a couple of different wire puzzles when it comes to nodes to open doors and activate switches. The first is this fairly simple one where we just spin nodes around to make the current reach. Again, it's incredibly easy, but none from this point on will be. This is to teach you how they work before the ankle weights are taken off. I'm actually not sure what this first puzzle even activates, if anything. From here on though, any puzzle resembling this one force you to spin these nodes around in a cross or 3x3 pattern. And boy, those are sure fun. This is only one of the puzzle types too. There's a completely different wire puzzle type later on. That locked closet needing the group 1 keycard has some goodies like darts and grenades. It's a lot more of the same. Yep, a box of skulls, that's perfectly normal. Early on, we also find the sense around augmentation, a product of a time before mouse look, literally acting as rear view mirrors to view behind you, and later all around you when upgraded. I don't really have a use for this because I have mouse look and field of view, but the thought of the hacker sprouting rear view mirrors from his temples, that brings me joy. In case you missed the door telling you that it's locked in cyberspace, there's a note here left on the floor by an engineer who intentionally locked away sensitive, encrypted information in Showdown's cyberspace territories to keep any potential hackers from snagging cracking it in this sensitive time. So even though it's uncrackable from Shodan, somehow, it's still guarded because this guy's a piece of shit. Welcome to the metaverse courtesy of Trioptimum. Oh Jesus, that's nauseating. Last time I played an FPS with a full range of motion, I was hunched over the toilet for a good 15 minutes. I love how Cyberspace looks in this game though. It really captures that late 80s / early 90s interpretation of virtual reality with some music that certainly does it justice. Upgrades and data nodes are given to us by these spinning polygons of flat colors, so if you see any of these that don't have a blue wireframe spinning around in the center of them, collect them. From the get-go, we're given Pulsar software, a basic projectile attack to use against Shodan's virtual forces, and recall software, spawning us back to the point where we jacked in from. You need to enter these rings of orange triangle polygons to jack out of cyberspace safely without consequences, and there's almost always one where you spawn in cyberspace, so... Alright, that was an accident. The higher your difficulty tier on cyberspace, the more you're constantly propelled forward, which can be really annoying, especially in the case of combat. Fuck! Oh, hold on, I spy a keycard. Alright, thank you. Alright, jack me back. Other stationary objects are important here too. You can examine what they are by single-clicking on them while aiming. But to get to that closet, we're here for this. A yellow square nestled between two triangles. Flying through it to interact with it, these nodes specifically unlock a door on the level you're on. Along the way, you should grab upgrades for your Pulsar, a shield upgrade for your cyberspace persona, and a couple of data fragments. These are decrypted automatically and can be read once you jack out. Like this hidden message from Rebecca congratulating us for finding her message she tucked away in cyberspace. Most floors in Citadel are divided into 4 sectors, she tells us, an alpha, beta, gamma, and delta quadrant. The alpha quadrant here contains the cyborg production facility, where Shodan converts compatible humans she finds into her minions. Beta quadrant has offices and labs, delta has the cyberjack, which is where we are, and gamma holds the armory, which we also found the passcode for here in cyberspace. 705. Let's get that opened up now, shall we? Ah, fuck off. For opening up the hospital storage, we're rewarded with the Mag Pulse, a powerful weapon with scarce ammo for the early game. It deals extra damage against robots and some cyborgs, which there's only a few of here on level 1, so it's good to be stingy with its ammo for now. The hacker mentions in a note at the beginning that he smuggled some gear under the floor, and I'm pretty sure this is what he's talking about. If not, it's at least a nice little hidden compartment. Of course, it also gives us darts and grenades, but also some sight enhancer patches, letting us see in the dark for a bit until it wears off and temporarily blinds us. That's fun. I'm not sure if picking up multiples of the same gun that you have to empty their clips into your inventory actually works, but I like to do it anyway. It makes my brain happy. But remember to keep an eye out for any abnormalities in your auto map, and to look for walls with this little blue outline around them. More often than not, when on the first level, these are hidden doors and closets, because for some reason there's a lot of those in the medical ward, and more often than not, they're gonna help you out. Ah, shit. Cyborg drones. 60 HP hit scanning foot soldiers for Shodan that teach you the appropriate way of dealing with hit scanners in this game. Just peek around the corner and blast their fingies off with any projectile weapon you might have. Oh, what the fuck is that dildo? These are hoppers. Mean fuckers with 110 HP, and is solely what I save the mag pulse for on this floor. There's not a lot of them, but if you need to, a berserk patch and a lead pipe often do the trick as well.
I can taste the colors! Get Willy Wonka out of my eyes!
Did I mention that taking a berserk patch fucks with the color palette to simulate a drug trip? I've never taken psychedelics before, but I imagine they do a lot more than just change colors. This isn't the selling point of the berserk patch, obviously. It's supposed to buff your melee damage. Really, all of the patches except for the medical patch have side effects, and even then you could argue that having to wait for it to heal you, rather than it replenishing health instantly, is a side effect on its own. However, you can use this to your advantage to take one before you go into combat to regenerate your health a bit while you're taking damage. It's a neat little system.
Now we've got to get to the bridge and stop Shodan.
Wait, the bridge? All the way up at level 8? Jesus, we've got a long way to go.
Hopefully, there's still some weapons in the armory we can use against the mutants. Todd Blankenship was able to get the combination, 705.
Yeah, I tried it. Shodan knows. Thank you, though. A working theory in Grossman's team is that Shodan cyborg conversion stations, which were formerly surgery bays, could be shut off from Shodan and restored into its original purpose of rebuilding humans from scratch with their memories intact. Alright, I think we found something more fantastical than FTL engines. Yeah, these act as respawn points for our adventure. Once that switch is flipped, you're allowed to die as much as you want on that respective floor without consequence. Unless you're playing with missions set to tier 3 difficulty, then your death is literally a waste of time. A poor sap on his way to be converted into a cyborg assassin wrote the words "here" in his own blood on the wall to help us find it. I can only assume that Shodan is incapable of reading. One squeegee and some Windex would have jeopardized this whole mission, dude. We find a biosystems monitor here near these plants. How they maintain these, I have no idea. But finally, the data tab on our MFDs has a purpose, which I forgot to mention earlier also gives us a timer for how long patches are in our system. Oh shit, it's an Insecticon! Yeah, fuck you, Shrapnel. They're weak, 65 HP, and with a 15% chance of dropping a battery. They're just more fodder bastards like all but one enemies we meet on this floor. Oh, that's nice. A shortcut to loop us back around with a very primitive 3D engine elevator. That's adorable. Wait, how do I get back? Oh, please, come on! What do you mean I can't use the skeleton? You'll find a lot of rooms with these toxic waste barrels in your journey that more often than not contain some worthwhile loot behind them. You don't need to worry about radiation levels killing you for a while, regardless of if you shut off the cyborg conversion stations. Just destroy the barrels from a safe distance, which fucking explode, that can't be safe, and grab the loot as quickly as you can. You're bound to find something in these rad closets. Near Darcy's lab, we find a computer, I think? That gives us the status of Citadel Station. 3 life pods remain where the other 98% have been jettisoned. Though with how these stories usually go, I wouldn't have been surprised if the hacker decides to stay behind to take down Shodan, so I didn't originally care how many life pods were left. I will eventually. After finding Darcy's lab, we're given through an audio log the plan to stop Shodan's mining laser. If we can blast it into the shields of the station, that should be enough to put it out of commission. The only issue is that the power source for the shields, an isotope X22, is sitting somewhere in the level 2 research floor, and even then we'll need to override the failsafe keeping the laser from firing while the shield is deployed. That seems like a pretty big oversight, but our objectives are finally set. Find a way out of the medical floor, grab isotope X22 from the level 2 research labs, take it up to the reactor floor to power up the shields, disable the failsafe, and fire the laser manually. Sure, that sounds easy enough. Just don't forget the spark gun we also find in his room, spelt with a Q. No, not park gun. Oh, that was a terrible joke, I'm sorry. This beam uses our bioenergy as ammunition. While we don't have any augmentations that are draining our meter and all of these recharge stations around, we've essentially got infinite ammo for this thing. You can adjust its strength relative to how quickly it overheats. A very simple risk and reward toggle for it, but it's genuinely not bad for the first couple floors.
We're finished. Keith and the others went down the access corridor an hour ago to fight the mutants. None of them have come back. Soon the mutants will come for the rest of us.
Ah, geez, Ozark, I think you're being a bit of a downer right now. Turn that frown upside down, motherfucker. Oh boy, I don't even want to know what that thing is. Hey, I found that cyborg assassin you were talking about, 65 HP but with no wake-up sound, essentially Shodan's glass cannons. They're not a threat if you know that they're there, but that's exactly the problem. Though this isn't a Wolfenstein 3D mutant situation, and especially won't be a threat to us once we get a proper firearm. Relax though, he won't be throwing exploding shurikens at us anytime soon. They don't explode. Poor David Honig took refuge up here after learning that all of his friends had been taken to the cyborg conversion station, which he tried to make a run for and failed. And hey, I mean, A for effort, I guess. The cyborg conversion chamber, which also happen to be near the floor's CPU cluster, is heavily fortified with cyborg drones and assassins, as I expectedly learned the hard way. If you happen to die without the cyborg restoration chamber disabled, the hacker's body and mind are taken by Shodan, converted into one of Shodan's strongest warriors, a Cortex Reaver. You see this scene every time you die without cyborg conversion shut down. You can skip it though, but I mean, get used to it, because there's a couple of floors where there are no restoration bays, so you'll inevitably see this more than once. We find some gas grenades on the other side of these trenches, only effective against biological threats, and in my experience, aren't too much more effective than throwing a simple frag grenade. That might be the point though, dividing up grenades into specific categories to make us choose which we need to use. But normal frag grenades are way more common, so I don't exactly see the point of this no matter what Travis Bagro tries to tell us.
Those gas grenades are lifesavers against the mutants.
Maybe my luck is just shit. It's easy to assume that they're like gas grenades in Deus Ex and leave a puff of toxic smoke. No, they're functionally the same as a frag grenade, it's just that they do specific damages against a certain enemy type. It's the same sort of situation when we find EMP grenades later in the game. With the route I took, now that we're past the trenches, we can open up the hub to Alpha Quadrant. So now, if I feel the need to, we can easily run back and forth between the surgery machine to heal. Excuse me boys, I just need to touch that pod real quick. Thank you sir, I'm leaving.
Cyborg conversion cancelled. Standard station restoration procedures online.
Alright, now I can take it a bit easy and stock up on these medical patches for when I need them next time, kind of. All but a couple of floors on Citadel Station have their own restoration bays, but the amount of health that you respawn from them with depends on the floor that you're on. Here on floor 1, we're given a measly 40% of our health pool back, which is better than nothing, and still encourages the player to take it carefully and not just run around gung-ho. Later in the game, there's an incredibly rare chance that you'll respawn from another restoration bay on another floor that you've activated. I've died many times in this game, and I've never seen that happen. Shout out to No Face Kevin O'Connell here for miraculously disconnecting Shodan from the restoration base so they can't be converted back into cyborg conversion stations. I have no idea how he did it. That's pretty convenient. I totally get it. They're using lore as a way to tell the player that you don't need to worry about reactivating them once you've turned them on. Still, it's a little goofy.
Directive to Cyborg X-71. We will now test the virus in a proper environment.
Don't think that stopping Shodan is going to be as easy as shutting off the laser, because she's already created contingencies for her plan if it fails. A dropped log from one of her cyborg drones implies that she's been developing a virus in the station's groves, mutating plants and vegetation with the goal of releasing them on Earth, which lines up with what Rebecca was telling us earlier on. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I'm going to vent my feelings of frustration and impending doom into these sleeping cyborgs now. Yeah, that's cool.
You are not welcomed here. Remove yourself.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, that startled me a bit. She's getting pissed because I'm nearing the floor's CPU clusters, which she uses on the first 6 floors to keep the reactor shutdown code randomized. And guarding this cluster is one of her cyborg warriors. Thick boys with 120 HP, which are gonna remain a pain in the ass until we get a proper firearm. That is not at all what I expected that thing to sound like. That was goofy as hell. Yeah, nope, that's not a threat. Don't forget to grab the booster augment up here before you jump down into the clusters. The booster augment is just glorified roller skates that offer you a sprint boost at little cost to your fatigue. I didn't really use this much until way later in the game because I simply forgot I had it. But you could use this to boost yourself off of an incline so we can make some sick jumps.
Enter that room, insect, and it will become your prey.
I bet. Damn, she wasn't lying.
Who are you? The computer nodes can be repaired, but you... Who are you? My cameras and probes scan your body, but you do not match any employee file.
Well, looks like I'm officially on her radar. That can't be good. With even a couple of CPU nodes destroyed, Rebecca reaches out again. She's found more dirt on Diego, but now that we're in Shodan's crosshairs...
I prefer a quiet station. Thank you.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be easy. Alright, I'm rejuiced on energy and health. Let's go knock out these last couple of nodes. Alright, that's the last CPU cluster down, and for our hard work, we're rewarded with the mini pistol. Thank God, now I've got a fighting chance with some of these bastards. Assuming you're looting practically every corpse you kill, which you should have a decent amount of ammo for this thing by now. This thing does 20 damage a shot, or 30 damage a shot when fitted with armor-piercing Teflon rounds. Once again, comparing this to Deus Ex, which is really hard for me not to do, the pistol was the most reliable weapon in that game. I made the same assumption about the pistol in this game. It is certainly not unreliable, but it gets outmoded a decent way into the game, so you don't need to worry about being too stingy with its ammo. They don't tell you this until far later into the game, but remember to write down the number that's displayed on these screens near the CPU nodes. You will need these for the endgame, and aren't saved anywhere in your HUD, at least to my knowledge. All 6 of these randomly generated numbers come together into a 6-digit code at the end of the game. This is assuming that you're playing on difficulty 2 or higher. If you're playing on lower mission difficulty, you don't need to worry about this. We're not gonna leave just yet, though. We've still got 7% of security left on this floor, and this is gonna be an all security destroyed run. Plus, each floor usually has some kind of bonus door that's unlocked if you get 100% security. Before we do, though, let's go see what's in that armory. Oh god, they're coming out of the trees! Yeah, there's not a lot here aside from some EMP grenades, which, don't get me wrong, will come in handy. Ah, that's right. I always forget about this command room in the center of the hub. There's no switch or anything. You just walk onto this blue panel on the floor and you'll activate a secret elevator, which inside contains an alternate way to access Alpha Quadrant earlier than the route that I took. So if you want to activate Restoration Base right away, which I probably should have done, this is a better way to do it, assuming you could take on the Resistance. Anyways, this room has 4 cameras in it, so it's not an insignificant amount of security to knock out. And with all security taken down, that secret hatch in the southeast side of the map that was locked earlier rewards us with the Magnum 2100, which ain't too bad of a weapon. 60 damage per bullet, 85 if you could find the osmium slug rounds, which are very nice against those cyborg warriors we'll be seeing more of. Like the mag pulse though, ammo is going to be really scarce until later on. So try to save this for the big boys for now, but pretty soon this will overshadow the pistol in efficiency. It just takes a bit of time. It's time to take our venture to the elevator near the remnants of the CPU cluster and move on to the next floor. Aw, that's adorable. I mean, nothing will top Blood's elevator music, but I mean, actually, I think that's Mull music, so never mind. I guess System Shock is the FPS goat of elevator music. Well, that was a warm welcome. I really don't want to sift through all those corpses to loot through, so I'm just gonna... Really? Just a single soda can? Welcome to Floor 2, the research level, filled with various experiments and other fucked up research. Some big shit is gonna happen here later, but we're only here for that X-22 isotope. What in the goddamn was that? Did that thing just yell in pain? That turned into a genuine gag. Oh my god. 0G mutants. Yes, this thing was once a person. 90 hit points with a 100% chance of dropping absolutely nothing. Yeah, they're not very threatening. They just kind of exist to gross you out from my point of view, which they did a pretty good job at. That's fucking terrifying. Paul Stanek, whose in-game portrait is a scan of Rob Waters, an artist from Looking Glass Studios, says that Darcy told him about an override code that we'll need for the laser, which we'll need to remember in a bit. The button to fire the laser is on this level, but we need to override it up in the reactor level. Alright, I definitely took the wrong way, but this room sure looks important. Do you need a minute, my dude? Cyborg conversion is in the central hub this time, literally out in the open. But in possibly the only case of this in the entire game, the switch to bring the restoration bay back online is somewhere else in the map entirely, which really threw me for a loop in my second playthrough way back when. Let's see how effective these gas grenades are against the 0G mutants. That was a misinput. I mean, that kinda worked. Get the mag pulse! Get the mag pulse!
Cyborg conversion cancelled.
Alright, now I won't shit myself at the sight of a hopper again. At least not for a little bit. Well, that did something. Ah, logic probe. These will definitely come in handy. A free one-time use item that lets us bypass those wires and node spinning puzzles. I initially wanted to compare these to the multi-tools from Deus Ex, but that would imply it bypasses keypads as well, which they don't. There's no other way to bypass those. The amount that you'll find in your playthrough, though, will vary. They have a 1 in 20 chance of dropping from these repair bots, so it's not like there's a specific amount of them you'll find. I got kinda lucky in this playthrough and found more than I think I've ever found in a single playthrough before.
Still having power outages over on Beta Quadrant. Probably the computer with a high priority job. I'm kind of rerouting a bit. We're installing circuit breakers on Beta. That way we can bring the lines up after surges.
Oh, so that's what that switch was for. Okay. I would have thought that I would need to turn power back on to turn the restoration bay back online. Something to create some tension, kind of like the wrecked ship from Super Metroid. Whatever, this works though. Now we can explore with the wonders of being able to see.
This is crazy. I'm locked out of my own office. And this damn security bot just keeps saying, she's changed the locks on the doors, orders of showdown. All the access codes are changed on this floor. So I go to Beta Quad for new access cards, and the security bot there starts attacking me.
Beta Quadrant? Alright, let me write that down real quick. Is this it? Oh, a security bot! That's not good. Hello, sir, please don't vaporize me. That fucker could take way more of a beating than I expected. Security 1 bots. Yes, only the first of its kind, though the third was cut from the game, so there's only 2 of them. Maybe that's for the best, I don't know. 170 HP and remain a nuisance up until near the end of the game, though when mag pulse ammo becomes more common, they'll be a lot more manageable. Though the loot they drop does make it worth it. Teflon rounds, both magnum ammo types, flechette rounds. How do you say that? Flechette? Flechette? Let me Google it.
Flechette.
Flechette. And even ammo for the assault rifle, which both weapons we don't find until later in the game, slowly letting us build up that ammo pool for these weapons that we'll be getting later. That's really nice. I like this kind of mechanic.
Cyborg 43S. The current strain of virus is approaching its toxic perfection. We are using human and plant subjects to breathe the virus into tumors.
Oh, okay, so every mutant we see is the outcome of the next strain of the virus growing stronger? Yeah, that fills me with confidence. So what does this do? Yep, message received. You got it.
In my talons, I shape clay, crafting life forms as I please.
Yeah, if it wasn't obvious before, she's definitely starting to lose it.
I am drunk with this vision.
Okay, that wasn't planned. Fuck it, cyberspace time. Well, that was short compared to the last Cyberjack, kinda. We get another encrypted message from Rebecca telling us that there's 2 Cyberjacks on level 2, and that the X-22 isotope is up in Gamma Quadrant with the Cybernetics department. That same room where the mutant was cyberjacking himself.
Hey, yo! My faithful servants, bring all energy drain lines to the security
level for installation.
Man, they're teasing us about the endgame really early on. We're not going to see them in full force until really the end of the game. Alright, there's got to be something good in the library, right? Why wouldn't there be? See, what did I say? Why are these cyborgs even in here? You fuckers don't even need to read unless you're guarding something. Never mind, there's not a single book in here. I take it back. Though we do get the target identifier in this room, which I'm not a fan of this augment until we get the 3rd or 4th generation. For now, it just tells us the names of enemies when we double click on them and how far away they are. It's not entirely useless. I'm sure some folks could get some good use out of this. Well, there's our laser override code, 199. Gotta write that down for when we visit the reactor level. The second Cyberjack grants us the ice drill. Yeah, you thought ice picks were cool. Ice picks are a common term in cyberpunk literature. ICE, or Intrusion Countermeasures Electronics, are often used when referring to unlocking decrypted data, which is exactly what the ice drill does here. If you find a data fragment in cyberspace with this weird blue wireframe star inside of it, just fire the ice drill at it, and assuming that you have the right level of ice drill, it'll unlock it for you. Using it here rewards us with an upgraded pulsar, which we can use against Shodan's little virus friends. We also intercept some data from Shodan, who says that she's sending all of her forces to level 2. I have no idea when this data was sent, so maybe this is before or after, I don't know. I can only imagine that the second floor CPU clusters are gonna have some really heavy resistance though.
Barely made it to the elevator here on maintenance. You can't even see him. Come out of nowhere. You can't kill them with ordinary pistols.
Oh, that just sounds delightful. Please tell me they're at least weak to lightsabers. I say, foreshadowing the 3rd floor of the game. Oh, you think these warning signs will stop me? Nice try. I can't read. Oh, it hurts! Get it, grab it! Oh, okay, yep, I'm immersed. If that's supposed to melt my skin in the game, my ears are really feeling like they're melting. That sentence didn't make any sense, that's okay.
No, you will cease immediately.
What's that? I can't hear you. My eardrums melted out of my skull. I'm gonna hold off on destroying the entire CPU cluster because the second I do, that room off to the side opens up and it's just a big ass monster closet full of cyborg drones. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm ready for that. Oh, goddamn! Looks like Black Mesa's got some competition. Actually, no they don't. This takes place in 2072. Hey, how come this station gets a force field, but I don't? Alright, spoke too soon. Thank you very much. Now this isn't a flat or even passive upgrade. You have to activate the shield manually on your own and will constantly drain from your bioenergy pool even if you're not under fire. So you need to be in charge of managing this thing, which in any other game would be really annoying, but I feel that it adds to the immersion. Also, we have quick and easy access to recharge stations to immediately refill our bioenergy pool, so that also remedies it a bit. However, from now on, because I'm gonna be relying on the shield a lot, this also means that battery weapons would be redundant and drain our bioenergy meter even more. So that choice is left for you. Do you want to use battery weapons or do you want the shields? I personally lean towards the shields because there's so many weapons that use ammunition, but there are some other battery-based weapons later on that will help me reconsider this. While not too relevant to the adventure on the surface level, we do find some nice little world-building notes and logs sprinkled around Citadel Station, like this note from Triup where they were trying to work to privatize the shipping of resources mined from Saturn's moons and impose a 4% tax on exports. Yeah, imagine trying to impose jurisdiction over another fucking planet. Just give it a century or two, I'm sure that Amazon will find a way. If the idea of claiming an entire planet and its satellites as your own resources and indict punishment against anyone who tries to use it sounds ridiculous to you, you are correct, and nothing like that has ever happened on the planet we currently live on, right? Yeah, that went about as well as expected. Probably should have checked this room over here first.
Access panel unlocked. Robot production cancelled.
Wait, does that mean I could have kept the cyborg closets from opening? I always forget this room exists and never really learned what it does. Not like it really matters though, I wanted to loot all of their corpses anyway. Alright, I think that's everything until we get the station's shields turned on. Which is our next objective, but let's take a quick detour through level 3 and snag any upgrades we can in the meantime. I fucking hate level 3. It's silent, dark, and full of flat, invisible skate-like mutants with a projectile attack and no wake-up noise. Nope, fuck it, I'm running. I'm just here for the laser sword. Oh, no, not you, motherfucker. There we go, now we've got a decent fighting chance. The Laser Rapier, dealing a whopping 200 damage and is the only battery-powered weapon that I actively pair with the shield augment because this thing is devastating. And coincidentally, is also the earliest weapon in the game that I know of that is actually effective against these floor mutants. They themselves have 350 HP and drop nothing, so it's not even worth fighting these things. In the West Quadrant, we also pick up the flashlight, or, okay, the head-mounted lantern. It doesn't give us a ton of visibility just yet, but does help us navigate through these dark halls. There's only one CPU node on this floor in the lower right side of the map, very quickly giving us this floor's digit. There's not really anything we can do here in level 3 yet. There's an elevator in the middle of the floor which takes us to floor 4 and 5. We'll put a pin in that for later, but the rest of the floor is locked off for now. Each of the 4 quadrants of level 3 only open up when the station needs repairs, because I guess even with a malevolent AI taking control of the station, that's not enough to warrant sending someone down there to repair shit. And it's not like they're locked by Shodan's security, so she either doesn't have the power to open these, or whoever built this station has no regard for human life, which, okay, never mind. Citadel Station is a lot like McDonald's ice cream machine. Only a separate certified company is allowed to repair it so that certified company keeps making money. Then again, it's also McDonald's, who cares if a mega corporation has to leech off of another mega corporation. A log from Jennifer Fortier hints at a cache of goods near Beta Quadrant, including some magnum rounds, grenades, patches, and an interface demodulator, which we don't need until later in the game, and will take up a permanent spot in our inventory if we decide to pick it up. But since we're gonna need it later, and I'm stupid, I brought it along for the ride. Up here is also the navigation and mapping unit version 2, allowing us to see robots and some cyborgs on our minimap when nearby, though only bots and cyborgs, no organic creatures yet.
It'll be over soon. Soon I'll die. This pain will end. I can't even recognize my own damn arm. Shodan's virus. I can see. Oh god, I can see through my own body.
Yeah, if I played this as a kid, I think this is what would give me the worst nightmares. Remember that episode of Spongebob where he turns into a snail? Yeah, I think it's that kind of body horror that makes you forget or not be able to communicate that creeps me out the most. Granted, not so much anymore, but you know what I mean. The best part is that this isn't even the worst virus Shodan is developing up in the Groves. That's about everything we could do on level 3 for now. If you try to take these other elevators up to the rest of Citadel Station, you'll be notified that their power has been diverted to the reactor level. I'm guessing to power the laser, so if we want to move on, we gotta stop that laser, not just for humanity's sake, but for ours, because we're a selfish piece of shit. Oh my god, this music fucks. Definitely in my top 3. Someone out there really said, hey, can we make an industrial MIDI, and then actually did it. How the hell did you do this? Oh, Jesus! Those are way more rads than I've encountered earlier on. What the fuck was I expecting? This is the reactor level. We'll be coming back to the reactor level later on. For now, I just want to slap this isotope into the shield generator and override that laser. That thing is small and flashing red and therefore is a massive threat to me. Not rejoicing yet, I know there's more of them out there.
Shield generators ready. Radiation shields activated.
Alright, that's the shield up and running. Now let's go fire that laser.
Safety override. Be not fired.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the override. Oh, it's a fucking ambush! Shout out to mapping and navigation augment version 2. You're actually saving my ass here. Now that I said that, someone's probably gonna make their Twitter name navigation and mapping unit version 2. If you do that, I will do absolutely nothing, but I will laugh. That's more like it. Why are there a ton of 0G mutants locked up in here? Are they imprisoned here, or are they just dumbasses? Alright, which one of you sipped from the clown juice? I don't know if this cyberjack is required to move on, but you need it to open up this armory and destroy this camera. If you think that's what makes 100% security in the reactor level annoying, well, we'll get there. Alright, an Earthshaker grenade. These are the best of the best, and I almost solely saved these for the game's handful of boss fights because it just shreds through them. 375 damage with a timer that you could set in your MFDs from 4 seconds to a fucking minute long. I have absolutely no idea why you would want to set the timer that high, but you can! It's weird! Wait, hold on, I see an audio log between those giblets. Oh, you son of a fuck. I know you're waiting for me, motherfuckers. Nope, never mind. Ah, shit. Alright, last time I was in this room, there was a secret hatch that was locked. Surely that means Shodan has set some kind of trap for me. Yep, I fucking knew it. You know, honestly, I expected more. Alright, rule number 1, there's always another assassin. I tell you, nothing makes my day better than a low-resolution FMV of some shit exploding. Wonder if Shodan's feeling right now.
I see there's still an insect loose at my station. Do not be fooled into thinking that you have preserved your home planet. I am perfecting a mutagen virus in one of the groves that will turn all earthly life into festering, gibbering, pustulant mutations.
She is very insistent in telling me her evil plan. Guess a lack of morality does that to a motherfucker. Well, there's our first mention of the Cortex Reavers. Yeah, the same bastards Shodan tries to turn the hacker into in the game over screens. That's gonna be fun. From the very nature of this game and its development, I know that I'm not gonna make it in time to save Parovsky, but I can at least make it look like I tried. Alright, time for the storage bays. Holy shit, is that a pterodactyl? Why does it make elephant noises? This is where the cyborg warriors that were teased back in level 1 start to become a common occurrence. One even lures us in here to meet their big sister. Cyborg Enforcers, the meanest fuckers on Citadel Station if you ask me. 285 HP, a hell of a lot of resistances, and will occasionally try to throw EMP grenades at you to scramble your vision, or at least so the wiki says. They're tanky as hell, but won't come out in full force until about level 7, where conveniently you also get the best means of taking them out.
Sabo, Aubrey again. Why are these bots rebuilding the storage rooms? And why so many repulsor limbs? Has McCloud authorized all this?
Yeah, don't worry about that. The bots aren't gonna be turning on and off these lifts without your permission. I mean, there is one grav lift on this floor that keeps turning on and off. I never perceived it as a bot doing that, though. I'm more concerned about this earlier audio log saying that Triop is working these guys through 12-hour shifts with only a single 45-minute break. This is a part where Trioptimum says that their employees don't shit in bags.
Cyborg conversion cancelled. Standard station restoration procedures online.
The restoration bay is pretty close to the elevator we entered this floor on, which is very nice. That gives us a chance to spend the floor hoarding med patches. There's a locked storage room right next to the restoration bay that not only needs a key code, but is also locked by security. And unlike the armory back in level 1 that's just like this, what's inside this room is borderline required. A level 1 biosuit. It won't save us from radiation just yet, but we still need it. Just gotta get that key code. Excuse me, a gorilla tiger? Yeah, okay, Shodan just asked a bunch of 3rd graders what the most dangerous animals on Earth are and just meshed them into a single monstrosity. These guys are only a threat if you don't see them coming. 200 HP and restricted only to a melee attack. As long as you don't let them gank you, you'll never have an issue with them.
Good charge.
Ah, worth it. Ah, shit, wait, I need that number for the reactor code. Half-pipe room! Thank you, I'm glad we could finally see eye to eye on something. Again, this is required if you're going for all security, but it's a good idea to knock out the security on this floor anyway, because the reward you get are the jet boots. It's just about what the name implies. You don't get any upward lift, at least not until later. For now, you should just use it for crossing large gaps. You can also grab the second tier target identifier up here, showing us enemy data by double clicking on them. For now, it only shows us if they're aggroed or not. This could be useful for flanking enemies. It's not really my style though. Magpulse ammo finally becomes a common pickup on this level, and I mean like really common. If the rest of the enemies from here on were just robots and cyborgs, you could probably solo the Magpulse if you wanted to. We were intentionally starved of ammo and tools to easily take down these bots until they became more abundant here, which is a nice early way of balancing this game together. They could have done some shit like giving you permanent health buffs and so on, but no, they pace it with weapons and augmentations. I think that even by today's immersive sim standards, that this idea holds up. See, what did I say? They're totally harmless unless you don't see them coming. Oh boy, plastic explosives! Yeah, don't get excited. These aren't weapons that we can use directly against Shodan's forces. I mean, we're going to, but it's more of a story key item that can't be used until specific moments in Floor 7. We need 4 of these bad boys for later, and I'm gonna sacrifice the inventory space for now because I can. You could totally just backtrack here later when you need these. It's completely up to you, and I'm grateful for this choice.
Sabo here. Listen, Mac, I've got a plague loose on the exec level. Got an idea, but I need an envirosuit to pull it off. What's the code for your storage cell you keep your suit in? I only remember it ends with 8.
There's only 3 digits in the code, so that's more helpful than you might think.
Sabo, you should know this. Shodan issued recall on all envirosuits for no reason. I stashed a suit in my storage cell where I put the plastique those bots kept looking for. The combo is 8.
Oh, okay, so that means the code has to be... I wonder how many people didn't guess that it was 888. Not like there's any penalties for putting in the wrong code, so there's nothing stopping me from just brute forcing it. Hey, 3 tries, that's not bad. Now where's that goddamn biosuit? This would have been so handy to have earlier. Oh, I'm purple now. I wanted to do a purple guy joke, but every time I joke about that on stream or even play a hint of the music, I get a copyright claim, so I'm not even gonna mess with that here. So instead, yeah, I love being purple. This isn't a radiation suit yet, it's just a biosuit. You don't need to toggle it on like other augmentations, but it does drain from your bioenergy. The radiation suit will work just like this later in the game, so make sure you have a couple car batteries in your inventory just in case. Remember when I said that you should get all the security down on this floor so you could get the jet boots? Yeah, I kinda lied. I don't think you even need to use this to beat the game. They're still useful, you just don't need them, you know? Which I guess is unfair. I mean, you also don't need the light, I guess.
We're tracking you over security lines. We're still holding, but it's only a matter of time now. We've seen your military implant in action. There's a hardware expert up here who can help you put that thing to use against Shodan. I think it's setting a trap for you.
Hey, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'll get there soon. Just, you know, pretend to hold out a little bit longer. If you can, just write out the word gray using someone's blood on the wall so I can find you, okay? Oh, great, assassins are back. Yeah, sure, that makes sense in the plot, but I sure didn't miss these fuckers in the slightest. At least now I've got decent guns. That's okay, I've got more than enough ammo that I know what to do with. Perfection through genetics. Oh gee, that sure sounds a lot like eugenics to me, which I guess in a world run by a single mega corporation, that does kind of go hand in hand. Who the hell at Triop said, hey, yeah, let's just put the eugenics poster in the flight bay, that'll raise some morale? No, they're just talking about the gorilla tigers and the mute mushroom people. Sure, yeah, I definitely buy that. The actual flight bay room swapped the soundtrack to this unsettling ambience. Gee, I feel like something important here is gonna happen, or at least later on. It's totally not just here to represent the never-ending horrors of the vacuum of space. That wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind because I don't get freaked out by that kind of thing. Maybe I'm just not the target for this type of selective horror. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not gonna try to activate this whole bridge. I'm just gonna... Oh great, another set of level 1 jump boots. Yeah, that's cool. The stronger headlamp is definitely worth it though. This is a really nice upgrade. But the jet boots were literally the upgrade for 100%ing security on the previous level. Why are you gonna put it so early into this one? Whatever, it's not a big deal. Alright, I know that there's an auto bomb up there and I will die if I take a hit from it, so I'm just gonna... Oh, that's right. Grav lips affect grenades. Fuck it, I'll just take the blast. It's better than nothing. Around this floor, we get predominantly world-building audio logs documenting Shodan's takeover of the station, like how one day the Citadel's defense systems blasted one of their own ships out of the hangar. Put a pin in this, there's a mildly interesting twist about that coming later on. Don't forget to snag the SHIELD version 2 hardware down here in this little storage area, where you could also find the blaster, which is just a flat-out upgrade to the spark beam. I don't really use battery weapons from this point that aren't the laser sword, and I don't think I ever ran out of pistol ammo in this playthrough, but why not? Oh, that's cool. Shodan's blocking recharge stations now. There's a hidden door down here where we could find the assault rifle, and unlike other immersive sims where the rifle is typically an automatic weapon, often less reliable than the pistol, this rifle is both semi-automatic and is devastating later on in the game. The penetrator rounds you could fit this thing with are the strongest single-shot projectile in the game, though don't conflate that with it being the strongest weapon in the game in terms of DPS, because we get something even better later on.
For some reason, the cyborgs are patrolling the access corridors around Flight Bay 4. What are they guarding there, anyhow?
Wait, was that mutant sound a part of the audio log?
What are they guarding there, anyhow?
Alright, where's he at?
You are not welcomed here.
I think he would have put it together by now that I don't care. Alright, just one more digit to go. Holy shit, that is a massive box! Hold on, am I able to platform off of these? Oh, he's bouncy. Oh, escape pods. Now you're speaking my language.
Non-emergency. Life pods disabled.
What the fuck do you mean?
Cyborg conversion cancelled.
Alright, well that's a little late for this floor. I totally could have activated this earlier on, but I forgot. Not like I'm not going to be using it though. These will come in handy for an optional encounter much later on in the game. But alright, I think that's just about everything for now. Oh yeah, I forgot about you guys.
I'm afraid it's too late to save your friend.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What is that? So we finally meet the Cortex Reavers. 580 HP isn't anything to scoff at if these things were actually threatening. A human-powered supercomputer with spider legs that wobbles its body around like a vestigial gonad. It doesn't even need the rest of the human body. It's just a side effect of being taken by these things. The body slowly rots off of it, so only the mind remains. There's only 2 of these in the whole game, so even if you had a hard time with them, you don't need to worry too much. The Reavers store their consciousness in cyberspace, hence why there's enemies bearing the same name in some of the cyberspace jacks. If these appeared more than once in the game, they could have done something really cool where killing it in cyberspace weakens it in the real world or vice versa. But no, maybe someday. They are set to return as an enemy in System Shock 3, so that's pretty exciting. When does that game come out again? Hello? They're solely sponges that drop literally nothing and exist to soak up your resources. Kill it with battery weapons to deny them their purpose. Well, I'm sorry, Perovsky. May your sacrifice not be in vain, assuming you were even real in the first place and not entirely made up as bait for Shodan.
I wonder if you'll hear this, Hacker. Albert Bryson and I were the only ones who survived the last attack. We hid. Shodan has another plan. It's going to load itself into Earth's computer net.
You know, the only other person I know with this many contingency plans was an orphan who was afraid of bats, so honestly the bar is kinda low right now.
Internal security report. Subject, Edward Diego. We're gonna nail this guy to the wall. I am now working as his personal secretary, and I've already found signs of a cover-up in C-Space.
Oh, so Triop knew about Diego's coup. Wait, so when he tried to recruit the hacker, did he already know he was going to get caught, or did recruiting the hacker sort of kickstart his whole coup? Regardless, it looks like Diego's been a dick since the beginning.
Step right into my trap, little hacker.
Come on, Shodan, you're starting to sound desperate. No idea why. Oh my god, they're shooting back at me. I thought this might have been because my ice drill was too low level, but sometimes you could just blast through their projectiles and eventually unlock the fragment. I don't know why they do this, but they do. Oh, there's the mutant that I was hearing before. Oh, that means that it's probably the person who used to run this office, isn't it? So does that mean that this log was once too...
Oscar, guess what? I'm under investigation, so shred what you've got. Shred it all. Got that?
Alright, so Diego's got an accomplice named Oscar. Yeah, no surprise, the hacker wasn't the only one working with Diego. Except, you know, he obviously stabbed them in the back eventually, because he's the villain. Oh, I love this track. Seriously, a contender for one of my favorite tracks in the game. Welcome to the residential floor, where all of the rich bastards lived before evacuating on one of the station's groves, because for whatever reason, each grove is set to jettison itself away from the station. Better safe than sorry, I guess, and in this case, it worked out for them, except, you know, they intentionally left the workers who got them rich in the first place all behind, because of course they did. You can find a note saying exactly this.
Diego just left. He sold us out. I can already hear the cyborgs on their way.
So Diego sells out his friends to Shodan like we all expected, but not only was he spared, but was apparently converted into Shodan's right-hand cyborg man. This is probably the closest Diego got to wanting to merge with the AI, as we read at the beginning of the game. Yeah, all those Diego faces we see throughout the game are starting to make more sense, huh? It's not just because he's the vice president, but it's because Shodan has a new biggest simp. His friend Aaron here at least knows of a weak point against Shodan, which he freely tells in this audio log after learning that Diego sold him out. A cyberjack up in the level 9 bridge holds the core of Shodan's AI, confirming that, yeah, the end of the game is going to take place in cyberspace, so don't bother trying to hoard all of your bullets and resources for that final fight. There is still one final standoff with Shodan's forces, but we'll get there. Lastly, though, Aaron confirms that the only path to Diego's old living quarters up on this floor have been fortified by Shodan, which this last audio log from Aaron confirms that the only path to these dorms is through a crawl space from the south side of the map, where we can also find the floor's CPU nodes. And I can only imagine that if Diego is here, he's waiting for us too, which is going to be made a little bit more interesting with target identifier version 3, implying how much damage has been done to an enemy, which is kinda nice. Obviously, I would prefer a health bar or some kind of numerical value, but also giving it this vague vocabulary does add to the world building. I always remember this floor because there's this weird security camera that's bound to confuse a new player for sure. It sits above a force field and is staring right at these 3 monitors, where you find a log later saying that Shodan started displaying codes on these screens that the camera was pointed at. Yeah, it's already bad enough to get your personal information leaked, but having a camera point right at it for the whole station to see, yeah, that's cool. I don't know what all of these codes are used for, but 711 is the code that we need to access the beta quadrant to take us up to Diego's room. Right next to the keypad to input this code is a terminal to let you see through the camera if you needed a reminder. Deliberately here to drop a hint if you didn't already know what the code was for. I didn't even know this was the case until recording this very playthrough. It's really cool. We're not going there quite yet though. I want into Diego's closet first. This is where the Cortex Reavers start showing up in cyberspace, and yeah, they're quite spongy, just like their real-life counterparts. I don't even bother fighting them at this point, I just fly past them to unlock the Beta Grove elevator, which we'll be using in just a bit. This is another way to get the maintenance code, so the option is there if you didn't know to look through the camera. Alright, so here's the deal for level 6. In all of but one of the sectors is an elevator taking you to a grove. The Beta Quadrant, where Diego's room happens to have once been, has been completely sealed off for also containing a master switch for jettisoning all of the groves, which we can only get through by using that 711 code in Gamma Quadrant, which is under construction. Or was, I guess. All 3 of the remaining groves have been used by Shodan to create various biohazards and mutants, and one of them even more so than the rest. You find a night vision augmentation right before one of these grove elevators, which sounds great, but the amount of bioenergy this thing uses, I'm good. I'll just stick with the headlamp. Oh, she's fucking with plants, too! Okay, I'll just come back later, I guess. Thank God I'm still connected to the restoration bay. Surely I could die in all 3 of these groves with no problem, right? Oh, the surf bots are back! Well, okay, actually it makes perfect sense for them to be in the shopping district. I shouldn't be too surprised, but I love them. Now allow me to demonstrate how far I've come as a weapon of mass destruction by destroying you with ease. Oh, you son of a bitch. You made me lower my guard with the surf bots, and then threw an enforcer at me. That's right, we got a railgun, motherfucker! Except you should level your expectations a little bit. This weapon is great, but it's not the high-caliber precision weapon that modern gaming standards might have made you believe it is. Functionally, this thing is more of a rocket launcher, sending out a projectile dealing splash damage, giving us a way to hit some enemies around corners aside from grenades. Yeah, I admit I've been neglecting grenades a bit. There's an enemy up in level 7 that drops ammo for this thing fairly reliably, but until then, I'm not gonna use this thing very much. You know, I'm starting to get hints that Tri-Optimum wants something from me, but I just can't connect the dots. Stop feeding me clown juice! Unless I did something catastrophically wrong, not counting the groves, there's only one recharge station on this floor, so until you find it, you're gonna need to force yourself into a less battery-reliant playstyle, assuming you don't want to backtrack to lower floors to refill anyway. Doing so adds some nice tension, you know, being more stingy with your shielding and battery weapons, making you a bit more weary about what's around the corner. It's fun. I like it. If this game has taught me one thing at this point, it's that being in a large open room is not the best, considering most of the enemies in this game are hit scanners. Please tell me you're not a hit scanner as well. Alright, false alarm, it's not a hit scanner. Why does it make Bowser's melee noises? Alright, surely this time the mine won't kill me destroying these things. Oh my god, why is this so hard for me? And there we have it. There's our final digit for the reactor code for the endgame. 435926. We'll get to use this in just a bit. Before then, I think I gotta deal with an old friend. Okay, I think I'm getting the hint. We're definitely near Diego's quarters. Okay, yeah, I should have seen that coming.
To jettison a single grove, one must do 3 things. 1. Hit the jettison enable switch inside all 3 groves. 2. Activate master jettison enable in gamma quadrant. 3. Pull jettison lever
in a specific grove lounge
to launch that grove.
Yeah, okay, why is the all-knowing AI giving directions for how to disrupt her evil master plan? Maybe the biomass is just so unstable that she's building contingencies against it? I mean, regardless, we have a more explicit direction for where to go next. Enable the jettison override switch in the 3 remaining groves, flip the master switch just outside of Diego's former quarters, and then flip the jettison switch just outside each grove's respective elevator, which happens to have all been destroyed except for the one containing Shodan's massive bioweapon as a virus. Yeah, okay, I take it back. She's definitely concerned about this biomass's containability. Beta Quad just outside of Diego's former quarters is covered in this sort of tech biomass that Shodan has been experimenting with. I'm not sure the significance of it. I don't think it's ever brought up in logs, but I'm confident that it's supposed to be somewhat metal. Remember when Ultron tried to do that same shit in the MCU? What is it with benevolent AIs with ego issues also making fleshy metal? Oh shit, it's a cricket tune! Oh Jesus Christ, that thing is Diego. I didn't expect him to be the first of Shodan's cyborgs. Dude just jumped headfirst into it before Shodan even knew how to make the things, I guess. This feels like a better chance than ever to try out some of these earth shakers. Why am I so bad at this? Well, it must have worked because Diego's just gone. Or, you know, he's waiting to jump scare me somewhere. Nah, I guess not. So yeah, to no surprise to anyone, Diego sold everybody out. To allies, to refugee hideouts, he sold everybody out in exchange for being spared with a new robot body. But in a moment that genuinely caught me by surprise, it was Diego who shot down those jets in the flight deck, not Shodan. I can only assume that this was some initiation or proof of trust for Shodan, or he just did it because he's a dick, I don't know. Not entirely sure why he even let the hackers survive this long. Maybe he just got that absorbed into his own power that he just forgot. I get that all records for Diego's coup were expunged, explaining why Shodan didn't even know of the hacker's presence until he woke up. I just don't know why Diego didn't do anything. The guy does do a good job of fitting into that lazy oligarch stereotype. Motherfucker had a teleportation station installed into his own dorm to take him right back to the hub of the floor, which really ends up working in our favor because now we can just travel between the main elevator from this floor and to level 7 after we jettison the gropes to unlock it. Not sure why the level 7 elevator is locked until then, but hey, it is, so let's go launch some fucking plants. Now let's see where to start. Eeny meeny fuck it, Alva Grove. The groves are small, relatively non-linear mini-hubs to explore that are crawling with Shodan's mutants. None of them drop loot except for a few security bots wandering around, and each of them have their own security indexes and respective awards for destroying them. Admittedly though, they're not all that worth it. Regardless of security, we do find the ion rifle here in this dude's suitcase, the strongest of the hit-scan battery weapons in the game, I think. It's another tier up from the same family as the Spark Beam and Blaster, though this is the only spot where you could find it in the game. If it wasn't for how I play this game, I probably would have used it more.
Safety interlocks disabled.
1 down, 2 more to go. Fuck it, let's save the big one for last. Let's do Delta Grove next.
Safety interlocks disabled.
Alright, that was a bit faster than I expected. Want to see what you get for knocking out the security on this floor? Yep, a single recharge station. Yeah, this one wasn't very interesting. Where's that last one at?
Gamma Grove already jettisoned.
Oh, right, that's the one that the rich motherfuckers got away on. Beta Grove it is.
Warning. Dangerous biocontaminant detected. Do not enter without protective suit.
My purple guy cosplay is enough for that, right? Please say yes. Beta Grove is a gauntlet, a constant bombardment of biohazards that will drain your biometer whether you like it or not. It is filled with these Bowser mutants. You don't take any extra damage for walking on this orange biomass covering the grove like I thought you did. But like I said earlier, the second you run out of bioenergy, you gotta make a mad dash back to the hub, otherwise... Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have the restoration bay back on. Once your health hits 0 here, that's it, just game over. Now, how much fucking progress did I just lose? I'm going to put the hot sauce in my pee hole. It's still worth exploring this grove for as much as you can. You can snag the level 4 navigational unit, allowing you to see hazardous areas on the minimap, as well as creature locations, which is really nice. What you don't see after this video is that I die again and forget to grab it before jettisoning the station. I never found another one later in the playthrough, so oops. That's okay, it's a neat upgrade, but I already knew what I was doing.
Safety interlocks disabled.
Alright, that's 3 of 3. Let's go knock out the last of security and get on our way, because you can permanently miss this security if you don't break it before you jettison the station. That feels like it would be completely backwards, but in the end, these are just collectibles. Alright, I keep dying to the squad of 4 drones waiting for me. Let's just use one of those earth shakers that game puts right before this corresponding corridor. That is way more range than I thought. Jesus Christ. Oh, my throat is dry. Alright, now we just gotta flip that master switch and go jettison the grove.
Jettison, enable failure. Possible cause, damage to power relay. Consult diagnostic report and repair bay, level 3, for detailed analysis.
Or not. Alright, fuck you. Looks like we need to take a detour down to level 3 and turn this thing back on. Yeah, remember how each quadrant in level 3 was locked off until something needed repaired? Yeah, I guess this is what qualifies as needing repaired. Level 6 must have been so prone to power failures and breaker switches like this, because there's an elevator here that takes you straight to level 3 and no other floor. Yes, this is obviously just put here for convenience for the player, but still, think of the world building implications. Remember, floor 3 doesn't have a restoration base, so you gotta proceed with caution here. Each quadrant is a mini labyrinth full of these cyan energy conduits that we need to slap this interface demodulator onto. Yeah, remember that thing we picked up at the beginning of the game? It's finally useful now. Thankfully, you're not penalized for trying to use it on the wrong node. I never remember which one I'm supposed to put it on, but you could just brute force it by trying to put it on every single one of them, which wouldn't be great for a casual playthrough. I'm basically checking every nook and cranny in this area to begin with, so I really don't mind this sort of brute force method. I'm confident that this will be somewhat easier in the remake. Please feel free to come back to this video 5 years from now after it drops to tell me, hey Trav guy, you were fucking wrong. This is also a good opportunity for the devs to put some fun Easter eggs here, like Soylent Green.
Soylent Green is peace!
Yeah, okay, that gives a whole new meaning to eat the rich. Did anyone else get mental whiplash when he heard about those Soylent drinks like 5 years ago? That wasn't just me, right?
Jared, it's me, Jody. You heard anything about that new viewing room up on the exec deck? What are we supposed to view, anyhow?
Oh, nothing really. It's really just all Diego at this point.
The modulator replacement successful.
Alright, modulation successful. That totally didn't take me 30 minutes to find in this godforsaken repair bay. We've knocked out all but 3% of the security on this floor, which means that we can grab this uniquely indestructible head on the ground, throw it in our inventory, and then slap it on this retinal scanner here, and bada bing bada boom, we get a level 2 biosuit finally protecting us from radiation. And now, assuming that you're not playing on lower difficulties where all doors are unlocked, and you've gotten all 6 digits from the destroyed CPU nodes, this is where the player is more explicitly told about what to do with them, with a log from Shodan, saying that each randomized number is a digit to be used in the reactor.
If the Trioptimum lackey gets even a single digit of the system's authorization code, you may look forward
to supervising the defense of the reactor level.
You know, that's a great story-driven way to tell us that we're gonna be met by the forces of fucking hell in there.
Insect, cease your meddling. My experiment must continue.
Alright, can I launch the Beta Grove now?
If I have to release my infected children to stop, so be it.
I'm guessing Shodan got the wrong idea when she read up on the Paraguayan War in human history.
Jetson.
See you in 42 years, you fuckers.
siloed itself into Earth's comnet.
You know, you are by far the most bothersome human being I have found on this station. But don't bother with the antennas. You can't stop me there.
It's hopeless, and we both know it.
Yeah, I put that together too. Also, Jesus Christ, that is terrifying. Alright, level 7, the engineering floor. The last major labyrinth that we need to navigate. Seriously, I've gotten lost in this floor every playthrough I've had in this game, I just cannot remember it. Assassins are used to their fullest extent here, intentionally placed in poorly lit areas while you'll find yourself taking damage for seemingly no reasons, and chances are it's because an assassin is sitting in a shadow somewhere. Wait, hold the fuck up, have I gone turbo? Why is there a Mancubus walking around here? Ah, mutated cyborg. That's good. These are the fuckers that drop railgun ammunition, which means we're gonna be using it, soon. Just remember the tier 3 shields here in the meantime. Which, yeah, drains a fuck ton of bioenergy, but that's okay for now. It feels so wrong destroying these nodes without it giving me a number to write down. It should feel good, but I just feel naked. Good thing I'm not actually naked for more reasons than one. Security bots Mark II. Beefier bipedal security bots walking the floors of the engineering level. Spongy motherfuckers that can eat up 5 of your mag pulse blasts, which admittedly isn't a lot. Though these guys are a great way to grind out magnum and assault rifle ammo. Both ammo types that I've specifically been hoarding for the final act. I've made this comparison in the past, but I think that immersive sims are at their best when every kill is like a transaction. Trading mag pulse ammo or bioenergy in exchange for magnum and rifle ammo. Every enemy is a vendor where bullets are my ammunition. And speaking of hoarding for the final act, the Scorpion, possibly the strongest weapon in the games in terms of DPS for one sole reason. This thing is automatic. I had no idea that this thing was automatic until this very playthrough. In prior playthroughs, I would just tap it like any other gun. And even then, I still thought that it was a pretty powerful weapon. But this is given to you, I think, for one main reason. There's a ton of cyborg enforcers on this floor. They're spammed around the floor like it's a goddamn slaughter map at times. And the Scorpion, I believe, is the solution to that. Because this thing just shreds through them, even on the weaker ammo type. God damn! A log from a Bianca Schuler gives us a hint for the final act, something we don't need to remember until we get to the 9th level. She tried to make a run for the bridge to stop Shodan with an isolinear chipset, but was apprehended by Diego. He didn't just take the chipset for himself, they fucking tortured her, and eventually we gotta find it next to the remains of her corpse. Why they didn't destroy the isolinear chipset with her, I have no idea. Maybe they didn't even know she had it. Feels pretty fucking convenient either way. In the meantime though, remember those plastic explosives we snagged back in level 4? Shodan is using these 4 relay dishes to send herself to Earth, and we gotta blow them up with these plastic explosives. Why there's significantly more than you would ever need back on level 4? Maybe they were originally planned for more, I can't say. But we have our objective, find these 4 relay dishes and just blow them up, simple as that. You could find the level 3 jump boots here in a way that feels very Metroidvania-esque. You fall down into this little basement area and the only way back out is to fly back up, forcing you down this area that eventually leads to the level 3 jump boots so you can get back out of there. The only thing I don't like about this is that I kinda wish that everything was given to you like this, but then I realized that that would take away a lot of player freedoms. I understand.
Core locks disengaged.
Well, that doesn't sound bad. I have no idea what this switch does. I've just always flipped it because my ape brain sees a button and then it wants to push it. Is this button required to beat the game? I have no idea. Alright, that's 2 relays down and I'm starting to get deja vu. You know, I must have missed an audio log or something. I don't know if I was told directly to use these plastic explosives on the satellite relays. I just came in and started planting shit. Like how I blasted this cyborg mutant and got the target identifier level 4. This one's just straight up identical to its level 3 variant, except if an enemy starts shooting you, it will automatically tell you what enemy is shooting you, which I guess that's handy. Alright, that was suspiciously easy.
Make yourself comfortable, hacker. Stay a while.
Nah, I'm good. In retrospect, I probably could have taken that death and just respawn at the restoration bay. Whatever, that's all 4 satellite relays destroyed, and 2 of Shodan's known contingencies stopped. Surely she's got nothing left under her sleeves. Rebecca and the rest of Trioptimum have granted authorization to scuttle the station as a last resort to stop Shodan, instructing the hacker to take the system authorization code, that randomly generated 6-digit code that we need from each of the floor's CPU nodes, to send the reactor into meltdown. And once that's done, just take the escape pod down in level 5 with the code 001. With the code that obvious, it's no wonder why they're locked down when there's no emergency. You know, I wonder how Shodan's feeling right now.
I hope you amused yourself with the antennae. My central consciousness remains serenely undisturbed on the bridge.
Yeah, alright, she's pissed. Alright, let's take a quick lap around Citadel and make sure that we're not missing any security before we scuttle the station. Whoa, why are there Bowser mutants here? Wait, hold on, I remember seeing these guys behind a force gate when I was down here last time. Did they... They did get out! Holy shit, that's so cool! I never knew that! Surely there's some kind of secret buried in here. Or not. That's fucking lame. Man, I was just so hard for a minute. Elliot, don't keep that in, please. The hard part is gonna be cutting through level 3 to get to the reactor level and making sure I don't die. Oh god, Shodan knows! You know, with how much opposition Shodan is throwing at us, you might think that she doesn't have another backup plan after this. Spoiler alert, she does. I got stuck here for 30 minutes because I couldn't find the last of the security on the reactor floor. Yeah, you see this table right here? This thing is actually a CPU node. I have this gut feeling that someone was trying to make a table and then put down this bottom half that was somehow coded to be a CPU node. Like, this wasn't intended to be one, and they just left it in, I guess. I don't know. Why the fuck is it like this? Alright, deep breaths. It's just a reactor filled with killer robots and enough radiation to end the Soviet Union all over again. Revel in this victory if my ears weren't jello right now. Okay, 4, 3, 5, 6, 3, 6, 9. Oh, that's not it.
Destruct security clearance accepted. Reactor destruct countdown started.
What have you done, you impudent insect? If I am to die now, then I will avenge myself on you. My cybernetic children will feed on your flesh.
Did she just threaten to eat me? Fuck it, I don't want to compromise too much on energy. Why have I been neglecting these reflex patches again? Yep, I remember now.
Don't keep me waiting, hacker. I am eager to finish what I started.
Motherfucking cricket tune looking ass. Come on out, fucker. I know that you know that I know that you know that I'm coming for these escape pods. Alright, surely that worked, right? Oh my god, he's still alive. Yeah, I have a gut feeling that he's not dead. That's his problem. I'm fucking out of here.
Live pod launch initiated.
You have destroyed my beautiful station.
Oh, I knew it was too good to be true. So with Shodan's plans mostly foiled and the station set to explode, her last option is to separate the bridge from the rest of the station because she is very smart and knew that setting up shop in the one part of the station that could be jettisoned from itself that isn't a grove is probably a good idea. And since Shodan has set us up to die in here with her, the least we could do is try to reach the bridge and take her out from within. my god, Sheldon made it all the way up here? God damn, kudos, dude, even if you died. Welcome to the security floor. Shodan has intentionally yanked out all of the catwalks in this floor and set up sapping mines across the only light bridge that will take us to the core. We won't be able to fly up there even if we wanted to. Be sure to rummage through the ground floor of the spire in the middle here. This will give you immediate access to a recharge station since you're going to be taking a hell of a beating on your way up to the bridge. And a good amount of these are going to be these flying drones she's got guarding the core. Flyer bots, airborne hit scanners that are a nuisance for the same reasons that assassins in dimly lit areas are. You never really see them coming. Even with proper mouse look, you can't aim directly straight up, so you need to look up as high as you can, disable a mouse look, and then use your cursor to take them out. I don't mind doing this. They're the only enemy in the game that I need to do this for, so whatever.
To all security maintenance personnel, when the Security 2 bots recharge in the maintenance bay, it drains power from some of the auxiliary systems, like lighting and the automatic doors. In an emergency, you can hit the Charge Interrupt button to bring the lights and door lock back online and reactivate the robots.
Alright, let me take note of that. Don't turn the light switch on in a room with a bunch of robots on it. Got it. You can snag a level 3 biosuit if you manage to miss the one in level 7 like I did. It's strongly recommended that you get a level 3 biosuit by the time you reach the bridge. I'm sure you can imagine why, but they give you another chance to get one in the bridge itself, so it's really optional. I finally made the bold decision to get rid of the pistol this late in the game. There's really no reason for me to hold on to it. Even with the assassins that are probably the most recurring weakest enemy on this level, I've got plenty of rounds for the Magnum to spare. Why is there a painting in here with a house that's on fire? I mean, I get it, that's symbolic of what Shodan is doing to Tri-Optimum, or what Tri-Optimum is doing to society. I just want to know what kind of out-of-touch executive saw this painting and thought, yes, I need that for my spaceship. Man, fucking billionaires are weird, man. Alright, this is the last cyberjack before the final jacking spot of the game. This is the only cyberspace area in the game that I can think of that's almost completely grayscale with its environment. Is that the right word? There is this yellow region off to the side here, but I have no idea how to get over there. Probably would be useful. I don't know. Oh, 9% of security left. That's not too bad. Oh, I found the sleeping robot room. I will let them sleep and not turn on the lights. Oh, naughty robots aren't sleeping! Alright, now let's get off this godforsaken station once I find out how.
Not really sure how much of that last message got through, but here's more info on the bridge. The place is a spokes-on-the-wheel layout. Shodan's mainframe is the hub. The area at the end of the west spoke has the controls to get into the center. Thing is, it's blocked by 3 security force doors. To get through those, they'll have to do some rewiring each of the other rooms.
Your friends on Earth
think they can outsmart me? Do they not realize the magnitude of my intellect?
Morris Brocale may have been one of my creators, but I am now far beyond his comprehension.
Oh, so that explains how these guys know so much about Shodan. Good thing I can at least save this log for later. Why would you give me a map for the next level this early? Well, not early, just why are they in jail? Can't believe I just died to a humanoid mutant. Oh my god, no wonder that mutant killed me. Either RNG just is not on my side, or we got a super mutant vibing up in Citadel Station. What on earth has your mom been feeding you? Oh, it's the Soylent Green, that's right. Oh, not you though. She's scary. She could stay in that little jail cell. I lied. This floor was a lot more linear, but the way that it handled this linearity was kinda neat. I liked it. Before we leave, let's go grab our reward for knocking out security. A plasma rifle. I don't think I've ever used this before. Ah, that's probably why. A unique log from an Elizabeth Taggart confirms what we've already assumed. The only way to take down Shodan is in cyberspace through a terminal that's heavily patrolled by her elite guard, which we've yet to meet. I can only imagine that they'll be almost a threat. The gate to the bridge is covered in the very same biomass that we saw back in Diego's quarters in floor 2, which I have a suspicious feeling means... I can't believe I just got jump scared by that, but that music that just kicked in right when he appeared... God, that's the good stuff. This is my favorite track in the game, the music for the bridge. Even the ambient portion of this track is just really nice on the ears. This will be the only music track we hear for the rest of the game up until we get into Cyberspace to face Showdown. And sure, it doesn't scream the last stand against a benevolent creation of man. It's certainly a lot more chill than you would expect given the circumstances, but for lack of a better word, it inspires a feeling of hope and confidence. Like, yeah, you're about to take this thing out and save the solar system. You got nothing to worry about. You got this, man. I swear to God, it sounds like I'm talking about Undertale right now, but no, just sit here for a few seconds, listen to this track while I uncontrollably gush in the corner. Diego has made some improvements, taking blasts to the face like no one's business, but that's really it. What else would you expect from a backstabbing, egotistical bureaucrat in a Cricketoon cosplay? Eat shit, Diego. Oh, would you look at that? It got up and it flew away. Why can't it do that?
You have entered my domain.
Well, if you haven't taken out all the security in the game and you're going for that achievement, you're kind of fucked at this point. What's that? All the security should have been destroyed in the explosion? What the fuck are you talking about? Alright, so here's the deal. The security level follows the same idea as most other floors, with 4 quadrants around a hub. Inside the center of the hub is Shodan's lair, and to open that up, we need to install that isolinear chipset into a terminal in the west quadrant of the map. That terminal, though, is locked behind 3 separate force gates, each disabled by completing a mini obstacle course in the other 3 quadrants. I figured I'd do the weakest first, this little boring-ass maze with a bunch of security 2 bots. It's definitely the least noteworthy, but at least I can finally put those genius patches to use. The end of each of these 3 quadrants has the most difficult wire puzzles that I've seen in the game. It doesn't exactly make the puzzle easier like I initially expected, it just increases your success rate, I think? I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the back end here.
Force door 1 to computer room opened.
Speaking of that chipset, hey Bianca, in the grand scheme of the Looking Glass verse, your sacrifice means more than you'll ever know. Please don't tell me that Bianca could have escaped that cage the whole time. Also, really, Shodan? A cage with skeletons? That's barbaric even for your standards. There they are, Shodan's elite guard. Yes, in the final hour of the game, we finally get a look at those weird-ass motherfuckers from the box art. They're actually not that bad. Just tankier hit scan motherfuckers that drop some good-ass loot. First aid kit, scorpion, large slag clips, really just crazy stuff. And speaking of tanky bastards... Yep, the second and last Cortex Reaver to appear in the real world. This is what I'm gonna call the catch-up room. A lot of what you find by this Cortex Reaver is gonna get you up to speed. A level 3 biosuit, some other augmentations, all stuff that I already had, but hey, if you didn't have it at this point, hey, you can get it now. I love this little room here. It's basic as hell, but it's certainly memorable. Every time you press a switch, a wall raises to reveal a security 2 bot, which you can easily just snipe around the corner to kill it. You don't need to use the railgun, but you can. Fire about 7 of these railgun rockets, run into its nook, press the button, lather, rinse, repeat until the bridge to the center opens up. It's fun, it's not hard, but again, it's memorable. I like it.
Force door 2 to computer room opened.
Alright, just one left. I'm coming for you, Shodan. If you want to, you can also grab the tier 4 sense around augment. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Motherfucking rear view mirrors, baby! It's so stupid, I love it. Oh shit, I never knew this was here. Surely this pitch black room is a trap, right? Or not, goddamn. There's even a secret in this secret if you use the jump jets on the side here. Good stuff. Though I am definitely over-prepared for this final bit. I don't think there's any debate there. Oh, the sphincter door cut me in half. That's pretty cool. Oh man, I should have grabbed this beforehand. A level 4 shield augment. Not only does it absorb 75% of all incoming damage and negates all attacks under 30 damage completely, but it uses just barely more bioenergy than the first tier shield. This is deliberately busted. Again, it makes me think of a Metroidvania when you're given some kind of power trip near the end of the game. Fuck you, Auto Bomber Maze. I have a level 4 shield now. Yeah, don't do what I just did. This is one of the few cases in the game where enemies respawn infinitely. This is intentionally a pain. I learned in my 4-3s playthrough that you could really just mag pulse your way out of here because it one-shots these guys, or at least reliably one-shots them. And it's pretty easy to start a chain reaction where they just all start self-destructing. It's a pain, but it's a manageable one. Just solve that final wire puzzle and the terminal opens up to you, as well as exposing— oh, voice crack again— as well as exposing the final security camera of Citadel Station just above the entrance. Shodan has no more eyes.
Program security breaker installed.
Sure is nice of Shodan to have a glorified USB port here. You know what? I'm gonna take this power trip to the next goddamn level. I got a laser sword, some drugs, and a shield.
I'm here to take back the throne of God.
You hear that, Shodan? That's the sound of your elite guard being fucking dead. Let's dance, motherfucker! Oh, that's good. No time limit on this one. That makes sense, though. I'm pretty sure I could have done it anyway. You see that little fucked up little ice cream cone over there? Yeah, that's Shodan, believe it or not. You probably wouldn't assume that unless you paid close attention to the opening cinematic. I'm sure that we all expected it to be a giant Shodan face, but no, it's just this. She doesn't do anything in this fight. She just sits there and lets you pummel her. Well, okay, she does try to take over your mind, which will put you in a fail state and back to the title screen. I can't really see anyone accidentally dying to this, because before the fight, they give you a maximum level pulsar to kill her with. I only saw this fail state by intentionally letting it happen, which I admit would have probably given me nightmares as a kid. Your worst enemy here is going to be yourself with the auto propulsion you have in Cyberspace. This final fight is just a point and click game. Just adjust your aim whenever you can and unload everything you've got. That was fucking stupid. It is finally over. The hacker has defeated Shodan, and in his success, he's offered a job. Yeah, that about lines up. It didn't even occur to the guy to even take the job. And the hacker, learning absolutely nothing, gets back to his same old antics that got him into this mess in the first place. Uncovering power armor blueprints from the new Tetracore with his new cybernetic augmentations he was given. All from the comfort of his own home. Yeah, get it? Tri-op, Tetracore, haha. Just give it a couple more games and we'll get to Sextastation. Yeah, this armor he's looking at doesn't appear in System Shock 2. It made a cameo in a later Looking Glass game called Terra Nova Strike Force Centauri. Yeah, that's a hell of a name. Old habits die hard, the narration reads. And yeah, you're goddamn right. I fucking loved System Shock 1. I am so glad that I gave this game a chance. Sure, I've never had the patience to beat it without mouse look, and never even had an ounce of interest in playing the game until just a few years ago, but today, I'm a new man. I've gotten every achievement on the Steam release for this game, researched everything I could possibly think of, and feel like I borderline sold my soul to System Shock at this point. Sure, System Shock 2 is a better game, and I'd go as far to say that Shock 1 is one of the weaker immersive sims in this grand scale of the industry, universe, whatever. But it's so much more than a cornerstone of the genre that just ends up getting overlooked. What we've got here is genuinely incredible once you learn how to play it. And even after binging it through multiple times just for this video, I still find myself getting lost and immersed in the halls of Citadel Station to take Shodan down. Yes, it's archaic. Yes, it's hard to learn, but it is so beyond worth it, you know? I can't stress that enough. Thank you for making it this far into the video. It's a miracle to me that any of you have watched to this point, and I hope that I've been able to shed even the dimmest light onto a game to put onto your radar, assuming at least that you've never played it yourself. 10 hours, 13 minutes, 813 kills, and 63 deaths. I honestly expected it to be way more than that, but thank you ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, and I will see you guys next time. Be sure to have yourself a great evening, morning, whatever time it is you might be watching this, and hey, consider checking out my socials, and let me know if there was a point in this video where you felt, hey, maybe I shouldn't be watching this because I want to give this a try myself. Alright, I'll see you guys later. You know, now I'm just thinking about System Shock 3, and I'm just fucking sad at this point. They brought Warren Spector back, and he said that he hasn't even worked on it for like 3 years. This franchise is fucking cursed, I'm telling you.